of God. We want to thank you, Jesus, for another chance. He was born to die, so I live again. No longer imprisoned, grace has loosed my chains. New life has begun now, where mercy reigns. Love that won't let go, it never fails. It's the boundless love of God. We need a hero, save the day, healer, take away my pain. Jesus, name above. It's the boundless love, oh, yeah, send revive. Let your power rain down, hey, let it fall on us, but open up our hearts to receive a word from you. Break off in us, Jesus, we need you to mend every broken heart. We're calling on the boundless love of God. Greater love had no man than this, that gave up his life for a friend. Boundless love of God.
Know all about it. Father alone, we understand why. Cheer up, my brother, live on in the sunshine. We'll understand it all by and by. When death has come and taken our loved one, it leaves our home so lonely and dread. Then do we wonder why others prosper, living so wicked year after year,
living so wicked year after year. Father alone, we
know all about it. Father alone, we understand why. Cheer up, my brother, live on in the sunshine. We'll understand it all by and by. We'll understand it all by and by.
I fly away, oh glory, I fly away, when Christ comes, hallelujah, by and by, I fly away,
And go tell it on the mountains,
over the hills and everywhere.
and go tell it on the mountains
That Jesus Christ is born.
I have a joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Down in my heart, down in my
I
heart.
have a joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Down in my heart to stay. I am so happy, so very happy. I have the love of Jesus in my heart. I am so happy, so very happy. I have the love of Jesus in my heart. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. When the road is caught up yonder, when the road is caught up yonder, when the road is caught up yonder. When the road is caught up yonder, I'll be there.
All the people who are living in the cold, no direction, no place to call their own, lacking proper shelter, pain is all they see. Yes, it humbles me completely just to know that could have been me. That could have been me. That could have been me. Pain and the tears, relief unknown, questioning why was I ever born. That could have been me.
That could have been me.
nation in our world is bringing grief. All of the blindness, famine, and disease. I should never take for granted my health, prosperity, when I know I could have been the one with no one to rescue me. That could have been me. That could have been me. Pain and the tears, relief unknown, questioning why was I ever born. That could have been me. That could have been me with the homeless, not enjoying a happy home. Could have been me with the dying all alone. Oh, I know it's not my destiny. I've been spared this much misery. I reach out and try to offer some relief. Oh, in slavery, the miners wanna say, work till the sundown just for pennies a day. Though my skin is not that color, it's obvious what's right. So against ungodly treatment, I am willing to join the fight. That could have been me. Oh, that could have been me. Pain and the tears, relief unknown, questioning why was I ever born. That could have been me. That could have been me. Yes, it could have been me. That could have been me.
Good evening and welcome to another session of in our Nav Live series. If you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. I also want to welcome back our brother Andre. All right, so today we want to look at the issue of dealing with difficult people. We want to continue along that line. We want to actually look at some areas, some issues, some behaviors that have proven to be challenging to people. So I just want to invite you to be with us. But before we go much further, I just like to ask you to bow with me. Just have a word of prayer. Almighty God, we thank you, Lord, that you continue to provide for us. You continue to guide us. Lord, we thank you for your continued blessings. We just ask at this time, Lord, that you would be present with us here, guide our deliberations. Help, Lord, that whatever we share will be in accordance with your will. Help us also, Lord, to have open minds, and that whatever we learn, we will apply to our lives. We ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So quick housekeeping. These sessions are brought to you with the compliments of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. We worship at 77 Red Hills Road, and we have some contact numbers there. Info at standrewchurchofchrist.com. Happy to talk to you. Just reach out to us. Or some telephone numbers there. 876-532-9891 is probably the best number to reach us on. I think nowadays we don't have to go through this housekeeping. Again, I think everybody is now comfortable with Zoom or some kind of online platform, so you know how to raise hands and to mute your mic and open and so on. So we don't have to go through that. Want to just introduce our facilitators. Andre Allen Casey, as you see there, has been a Christian, well, it says over. So this has been up for a little while now. So definitely beyond 33 years. My introduction, Brother Andre, is that he is a leading and highly impactful counseling psychologist. And all sorts of work went into that, and the certifications are there. But the real testament is his impact across the island and even outside of Jamaica. So that's Brother Andre Allen Casey. I am Trevor Smith. I'm a member, yes, of the St. Andrew Church of Christ, and I work in the area of behavior modification, working with teens, working with leaders. Right, so I think we can move from that then. If you have any other questions about the facilitators, we can talk about that later. All right, so let's get the show on. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, so dealing with difficult people. You might be joining us for the first time that we're doing this series. I just want to step back a little bit to clarify this word here, people, because what we have been indicating is that we're not talking about difficult people. We want to talk about difficult behaviors. You might have challenging behaviors, not people. All right. All right. I think I have, we're welcoming our some children, my grandchildren, having a sleepover. If I could just take 1 second and see if I can get a little bit more. So for example, that would be classified as a difficult, slightly challenging set of behaviors, but it's not difficult people. But seriously, I don't want to go back over the session that we did that talked about the difficult people, and once you label them, then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that you're going to start to look out for behaviors coming from that person and anticipate that is not when we're right. That's not where we want to go. So, not going back over that. What we want to look at now are challenging behaviors and to see how we can navigate through those. I'm open, by the way, in the chat. Please, if you have some behaviors that you want to put up, you know, I sent the invitation to a friend and just said, I need this, you know, the pulling our hero out. So I have a number of them. I just want to share with you, but I'm open, you know, to put some on the table. Brother Andre, please drop them on the table and we can, you know, discuss them. So yeah, so we have placed the context, you know, we're going to talk about the context. I've started to share in that area. I want to look at a roll call of challenging behaviors and then of course have, you know, the question and answer, open discussion. And, you know, you can feel free to discuss any one of the issues as we go forward. So basically what I'm suggesting is that unless you're a hermit, you're sure to encounter behaviors that you might find challenging. Yes. And some of those behaviors might actually get under your skin and invite negative emotions on your part. So you might not react in a way that you would normally, you know, respond to actions. So let's look at some of these. All right. The list comes from, this is content that I had, I don't know how long now, from a Tom Lapham. I tried to locate him on the internet. I can't find any information related to this one. I see others, but it's not this guy. So anyway, just wanted to give him credit. So the first one is hostile and intimidating aggression. Yeah, so people that come across arrogantly, well, not just arrogantly, but kind of aggressively and, you know, forcibly, and, you know, maybe not physically hitting you, you know, but kind of in your face. I think we can talk about that. Suggested response, and again, please, open discussion, right? Open discussion. If we don't get it through, we'll put it in another session, but let us talk about it freely. So one of them is to listen without interrupting. One challenge that we have to understand is that when there's fire, when there's, you know, it don't make sense that you show fire back because it's just going to have a bigger, more blaze. So just listen, hear what is happening, and be calm, listen, because after a while you just get into a shouting match, and the two of you shouting at each other, or whatever it is, and all that is happening is that there's an escalation of animation, if you want to call it that, right? And just avoid arguments with this individual. Just avoid arguments. Yes. But that's, you know, you hear the starting, and you know it's going to be a problem. It might not be a matter of great import. Just leave it alone. You know? Sometimes you can even just say, you know, I hear you, and really don't bother get back into a situation where you set off another round of loud talking, shouting, whatever. Right? One of the things is to call the person by the name. What is the rationale behind that? Is that it reminds them that, you know, it might bring them back. Sometimes when people get off, they kind of lose control, they lose an understanding of who they are. And by calling them, you know, by the name, it might actually bring them back to some sort of reality, right? My counseling psychologist will talk about this in a minute. And be concise, be clear about what it is that you are saying. Just make short, clear statements if you have to respond. And definitely be resolute, because anyhow you are seen to be someone who yields easily, or, you know, just willing to, you know, give up for a peaceful life, as they say, you might actually get set upon and, you know, encouraged to behavior. So if the aggressor understands that there is a a wall, that you're gonna stand your ground, then they might not be as inclined to push and then avoid exhibiting fear. Right, so those are some thoughts. I want to get some feedback. That's what we're going to do with all of them, right? We're going to just get feedback and as to thoughts on this situation. I don't know if anybody here has experienced this. What are your strategies? Would these suggestions make a difference to you? Brother Andre?
Yeah, no, so far so good. I want to give other folks a chance first if they want to talk. I see somebody wrote something in the chat.
We are looking at it. If people get off and you don't respond strongly, doesn't that make you look weak and continue to disrespect you? I hear that, James, and that's why I'm saying to you, down here, if you said 5 and 6, be resolute. And avoid exhibiting fear. So I'm supporting the idea that you should be resolute. You should, have a firm base. All right, Alison, go ahead, please.
Oh, hi. I just joined, so I don't know if you would have touched on this before, but I think I don't want to make assumptions about what react strongly means, according to what the comment said. But I was bringing it up. I was just saying that sometimes, generally, people tend to think of reacting strongly as matching the same kind of aggressive energy.
Correct.
And, sometimes there are people who thrive off of getting that kind of response from people. So I like that you're outlining these responses, because if you go neutral but firm with them, they're less likely because they're like, oh, I can't get a response from them. So that was just my 2 cents.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Alison. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
a question. Can you elaborate on how to avoid arguments?
Okay. All right. Well, let us look at it now. That let us say you have an issue with one of the steps here, right? And consistently, so we work together, whatever it is. If I put up 3 steps or whatever it is, you're going to think, because you want to have some kind of a dialogue, some kind of a I don't know, some animated discussion. I'm using the word animated. Aggression is there. I can, it's a choice, I can decide to say, well, okay, Brother Andre, I hear you. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your input. Your next step could be what? You could say, yeah, I hear you say that, but you can go on and say, Brother Andre, me hear you, I tell you the truth. Me hear you. And that's it. I'm not going to be drawn into an endless, tete-a-tete with you. I mean, that's one way. That's one way of just steering clear. That maybe a statement that you would make is a mash con statement for the person. No, but I go here if you don't have to. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's just a quick, it's just sometimes the arguments and the heated discourse sometimes might be necessary to clarify points, but sometimes also can be that in this case it's not required. It's something that you could just let pass, because okay. What's the point?
Yeah, I have found, I hope you can hear me loud and clear, yeah, but I have found that sometimes in avoiding an argument, we we letting the person recognize that you understand their context, that you understand what they're trying to what they are saying, that you understand their position, and you and how you not agree, because I'm not asking you to agree if you don't agree, but how you let them know that you understand it is sometimes you check understanding. So you say, should I understand you to be saying so and so and so and what have you? And if they said, yes, that's what I'm saying, and you have to aggressive and everything, you said, okay, noted. I appreciate your stance. I appreciate what you have shared. Well, not even the stance, but I appreciate what you have shared. I understand the position that you're coming from. I'm not saying you must say you agree. I'm just saying, but sometimes when you to help to deflate something, sometimes it is necessary to repeat what you're hearing, and also to say to them, and even if the aggression is towards you, should I understand you to be saying that, hey, this is how you feel about me, and so and so, and things like that. And I have found that is one way. I'm not saying the only way, but a unique way to help to avoid an argument, because the person feel understood. Just say.
Thank you. And James asked the question and give an example of being resolute. So in that case, I hear you. I understand, as a matter of fact, go through your process where you're saying, do I understand, you to be saying this? Is this your position? Okay, fine. I hear you. I have a different perspective. I'm not sure whether you will respect that, but my perspective on the matter is different in this way or in these ways. And so while I hear you, I think I fully understand. If not, correct me, but I have a different perspective. And it might not, we might not agree on this, but I fully appreciate that you have shared this and I understand your position. So that is being the resolute thing now, is that I have not shifted, I have not moved. I hear you, so it don't make sense you continue to ramble and chat and shout at me. I hear you, but I don't share this. I don't share your perspective on the matter in these ways and for these reasons, if you want to get into that. I don't know if that helps, James, if that is a good example, but that would be some clarity now that I'm not wilting, I'm not changing because you're browbeating me. And I wanted to stop because I understand. And so continuing this doesn't help anybody. Does that make any sense? Is that in keeping with your philosophy, Brother Andre?
Yes, definitely. As a matter of fact, I want even to get a little bit stretch. Sometimes we have to learn to choose our battles, in that if you tell the person that you still don't agree with them, so you have already stated your position, and they're still trying to insist for you to accept their position, sometimes you have nothing more to say. There's no need for you to repeat your position again, because that then would progress an argument, actually.
Right.
So and that's why that's why I asked about to elaborate on the avoid arguments, because I do believe that there are times in which there's no need for you to further clarify your position, because the person is insistent on coming in their direction.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Brother Andre, we just have to agree to disagree. Yeah. So that's to me is would be your final statement, and then you just keep quiet. After that. All right. Any can we move on this one? Because this one is a tough one, This one happens with bosses, with dominant spouses, with siblings, that it happens all over the place, where people come across in a pretty dominant way. One of the things that we do, I mean, in my behavioral work that we do with people, that's the D style, the dominant person. That is us, and you know, we have done work on that area. I think we shared it in our life as well. We are saying that don't overestimate the mannerisms, right? I think I gave an example of the barking dogs, you know, coming on the road, and all the dogs barking because strangers coming down, and I am in my, you know, like fourth or fifth yard, and I'm a covered dog, but I'm going back louder than all the others. So sometimes the aggression might be covering up weaknesses. You know, it might just be a style. It just might be an approach that you believe that you can get more from coming across in that kind of way. So don't be cowed down. You know, look into item 6. Don't be fearful. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's look at another one. So, yeah, this is the second one. This is the person who, believe me, man, there's not a thing you can do. That's right. Just undermine you, the sarcasm. Okay, sorry. I think I want to put yourself in mind of this kind of person that just carping at you. Everything you do is not so right. They try to undermine you. You know, you want to have a discourse. Everything is full of sarcasm. Yeah. So one of the things that we have spoken about in that life is separating the behavior from the person. Just try to focus on the issues. Just don't bother to think, oh boy, this person always. No, once you start to get into the always, you're going on a wrong road. Just focus on what is at stake here now. What are we dealing with at this point in time? That's one of the things I would say. Listen for evidence-based, justifiable feedback. In other words, it could be that this person is a carping, sarcastic, undermining person all along. But today, genuinely, this memorandum that you wrote has some flaws in it. Could take some fixing. So don't just, that's what I'm saying, look at the issues. Make sure that this instance is something that is justified. Yeah. And then, of course, you take it on board, because you must always be willing to take feedback on board. However, if it is not valid, then just don't acknowledge it. If possible, just look past it. Just ignore the comments. Everybody try hear it. You know, don't want to overreact. Just take a deep breath, move on. Okay, fine. Let it bounce off, and just ignore it. That's a suggestion. Here's a key one though, and I've just put it this way: keep your finger in your pocket. You know the finger I'm talking about. But you can't talk about that. No, man, you can't say that to me. Nobody with that. That don't kill. Believe me. That is just, I don't know, adding fuel to the fire. And I don't know how it helps you. It's bringing yourself down to that level. I'm suggesting, again, just to make sure that I'm clear about what it is I'm saying here. I'm saying, listen, focus on what is being said. If it is valid, take it on board. If it is not valid, take it pass. Nobody say anything about it. Just leave it alone. My time to keep quiet. Anybody's reaction to that, response to that? Sorry. No? No comments? But suppose, Trevor, this person now is picking on me. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brother G. Hello? You muted? You were trying.
No, I didn't intend to say anything. I unmute inadvertently. Sorry.
Sorry, no problem. All right, anybody? Okay, maybe we don't have any criticizing people around us, fault finders. Brother Andre?
Yeah, I mean, there are some aspects here that a lot of folks will, generally speaking, let me use that word, generally speaking, may find quite problematic. The don't overreact is one of those, and well, the keeping the finger in the pocket too. That one is I laugh at that one. That's so true. But could you share somewhat about well, I guess don't acknowledge invalid criticism. Isn't that where the problem is, though? That the very thing you're asking, that we are asking not to do, is a very thing that we fall for, especially if we recognize that it is not true. Your comments?
Yeah. Sometimes we get it. I don't know. I find that we can get weird by trying to address everything. You know, there's a statement. Let me just jump into that. That, you know, if you're in a swamp, you know, with alligators around, or crocodiles, whatever it is, the mosquitoes not really so important right there now, you know. And so some of these things, you know, when you consider the kinds of things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. If you have, for example, a colleague that, you know, just find fault with you all the time, whatever. I mean, are you going to take on every comment, everything, you know? It's just going to be a burden. Or if you live in a family, or if, you know, it's same thing, it's your spouse, or, you know, anybody who just constantly criticizing you. What do you want to do? Every time they say something again, you're going to react? Respond. Well, it's reacting, but that doesn't make any sense. So after a while, you just have a dead ears to it. You know yourself, you know who you are, and unless it is valid, then you don't have to take it on board. In another scenario, we used to talk about in Jamaica, where somebody will say something about your mother, and you're supposed to fight. Yes, that's how we grew up. I don't know if today that's the case now, but a man tell you something about your mother, you're supposed to fight. And I'm saying to you, how stupid is this little boy know your mother? You know your mother. So what's the point? What is the point? And that's where I'm going with it, is that, are we going to run down every little thing somebody says to try to correct them? I find that it could be exhausting and doesn't help me internally. It's going to upset me. And so I will just deafen my ears to the negative comments. Listen though, I'm listening. And as that, you know, I'm just sifting out. Yeah, okay, it could be. Maybe there's something in my actions that's causing them to say this. Let me listen, let me take that on board. That, okay, no, I know that is foolishness. And we'll just move on. That's a thought. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, excellent. Actually, I think it is an amazing follow-up to the point that when it says, if it is justifiable, then fine. But if it's not justifiable, and you know it's not justifiable, then why are you responding to it? You know, that's what I want to pull out of it. If it is not justifiable, and you know it's not justifiable, it's just like if somebody call you a dog. I mean, the truth, you're a human being. So why is it that you know you're not a dog, and yet everything about your response gets sound like
not just a dog, Brother Andre, it's a dirty dog. It's a dirty dog. That's just a normal dog.
So that's the point. That's what I wanted to think. Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Cool. All right. So James come back and says about the separating the behavior from the person. Believe you me, if there's one thing that I speak about when I'm talking about any sort of counseling or coaching or doing any of this kind of work, is that principle. Learn to separate the behavior from the person. And it doesn't matter, believe you me, James. I could come and 99, you know, or let me talk about a million times, I come and do an action, and for the 1,000,001th, I said, go. Our first time, I do something differently. And all it is, it doesn't hurt for us, because what kind of database you're going to keep if you're going to have to, track and monitor every action and keep that in your head? What is best for me is to just deal with what is happening before me in this moment. That's the easiest and most efficient way to work with people. Is to just deal with this situation at this particular point in time. So am I saying you must be an idiot because the person do this all the time? No, but it helps definitely for you to be focused on this situation today. Yes? Okay. I hope that, so somebody might be saying, so if this man always come after you with a knife, this time when you see him coming, you're not going to move. No, I'm not going there. Sometimes when people want to look at a principle, and I'm not saying James, I didn't know it, so I'm not going there. I'm not talking to you specifically. No. Sometimes when there's a principle that might be challenging, we look for the exceptions. We look for the cases that might be on the periphery to say, well, maybe it can't really work. But overall, the basic principle is that you're going to be on a better footing if you separate behaviors. Just deal with this incident, this behavior at this time without any clouds. Hope that make a little sense, hopefully. All right, let's move the boat forward. So somebody might say, why would I include this one? Because nobody have any problems with these people, When you talk about the workplace and with the workshops and so on, these people who are quiet, peaceful, no trouble, nobody, nobody complain when you're doing workshops. Not a soul have a problem with this. But they are a problem in the sense that there are times when you need the information. There are times when you want the feedback. And nothing can be more frustrating than when you're trying to get something from somebody. Well, let us even move it from the adult stage now to the child. That something happened and you want to try and find out, and they're not talking, they're not sharing. You can't get anything out of them. Is that frustrating? I would guess yes. So what happens with that case? As I tell you, this is not normally a case where somebody could say this is a quote unquote difficult person, but the behavior can be off-putting and it can be challenging. So somebody answered ways to communicate with this person is ask open-ended questions. So let them, have to respond. It can be a nod, it can be yes or no. It has to be something that they are saying. That's important. And maybe sometimes we're rushing using our D style. You don't hear me ask a question. You're not going to respond. Just keep yourself quiet a little bit now. Just relax. You ask the question, who's to talk next? Not you. You ask the question, you will answer it. Well, you answer it then. But just wait. Let them know you're waiting. So the patience is important. And also though, you can provide assurance. Sometimes it's a lack of confidence. It's not just, stubbornness. It can be really that the person don't feel that they have anything of value to offer and so on. So you need to assure them that I really do need to hear from you. I really need to understand your position on this. So you need to let them know that whatever it is that they have to contribute is important and you really want to have it from them. So that's it. And then the other big thing now would be to appeal to a higher order, to a bigger purpose, to say, well, unless we get your input on this, it's challenging for us to come to a decision with respect to how we do A or how we do B, because you're an important part of this process. And so how can we proceed without having your input into this major decision? Yeah. So that's an approach. I want to hear some feedback on this one. I'm going to keep quiet. I'm going to take the advice here and get your input because this is important, I think. And sometimes we don't see these individuals or these situations as being problematic because they're not causing any problem. We tend to worry about somebody who, hold up the meeting by, grandstanding and all of that kind of thing, or browbeating people. But this is really a genuine issue. Keeping quiet. You can just open your mic, speak, talk about if you have challenges in this area, or do you agree that this is a problem? Go ahead, Alison.
Hi. I think, as you said, we generally don't tend to view not having Alexia as, not being it as a problem, but I came to realize, because this is something, particularly in the professional space, that I'm guilty of. For whatever reason, I prefer to not always share my thoughts in meetings. And it so happened that one of my colleagues would have, one side said, we're not, express the concern that, things that if you have any concerns that you need to say it within the meeting. And I appreciated her for it. It wasn't like a way where she was coming down necessarily hard, but she just was direct, honest, and said, it's important that you voice these things because it affects everybody. So I think it is something to look at. I mean, you can be on both ends of the spectrum where you're hugging the meeting or not saying anything at all. So I do agree with.
Okay. Thanks, Alison. Anybody else? I have two examples I want to share with you. Anybody else want to share them first? Nobody sees this as an issue? Wow.
Something, Brother Smith?
Please. I'm in the silent zone.
I think this happens to so many folks, especially if past experiences, they feel attacked, or they feel like they've been gaslighted. And just to go back to the they feel criticized, and so a lot of times it is past experiences. So it's not just because they might feel like they are like they might be an introvert per se, or their opinion does not matter. And I'm not saying that is not a factor also,
right.
But I'm also saying that you'll find a lot of folks that will resort to this kind of response and behavior because of what has happened in the past. And so they have just said in their minds, to what end? It don't make no sense because there's no change. Or sometimes they feel like they have spoken one time too many, and because there hasn't been any change, then in their estimation, why am I going to beat up on myself or frustrate myself in trying to convey a thought when this is the position of the person that I'm having a conversation with? So I'm only explaining additionally they may have this response or behavior.
Absolutely on spot, and I want to deal with some of that and talk about it. I want to give you two personal situations with respect to that. One was with the organization, and CEO would have a meeting, with them, with staff basically, and in the meeting that goes through whatever it is. After the meeting, as I go to my office, 2, 3, 4 run come, wanting to say some rude, So I said, after a while, I said, listen to me, after, in the next meeting, I lock in the door because, well, you never talk up in the meeting. So that was one situation. Why, what it is, why you don't speak up in a meeting. The other thing is workshops. Like if I'm facilitating a workshop or whatever it is, given that opportunity to talk. Nobody say anything. After the meeting, now you're packing up your thing to go home. Somebody come up, Mr. Smith. And I'm saying, why I never talk about it in the workshop? You know how much difference it would have made to others? Because people would want to know all of those things. So those are some of the areas that we want to try and encourage and to show that is important. But Andre laid a serious foundation. One of them would be, if you go back to the other thing now, where somebody might be set upon, that feel as if, okay, what's the point? Because if I say something, it's not going to elicit the kind of response, a sensible response, or a healthy response. And I don't want to go down that road again. That is a bigger problem in the sense that where that is coming from is that there are unresolved issues. And we have spoken about some of those things in terms of what conflict is about and why it is necessary to try to get to a place where you can resolve issues as they arise. A lot of problems come up in life because people left issues unresolved. And so those come back now in this kind of way, where I'm not talking again because, it's not going to elicit the right response. It don't make sense. Or I'm not talking again because how many times have I spoken about this? Nothing has happened. Those are some of the challenges that arise from issues that were not resolved earlier. And the more we have issues that are unresolved piling up, the more we're going to have problems in our lives. And so, and thank you for pulling that up, because there's a major, major problem with issues surfacing in other ways, because they weren't resolved. So, a comment here. Public speaking is sometimes not their strength. This is not public speaking. You're not, I know. I hear, James. I don't want to belittle it. I hear the point is that maybe you say you're shy, and so on. It's understandable, and maybe facilitator, whoever it is, might need to create an environment where people feel more secure, safer to comment, etc. But that doesn't make it less challenging. And so we're looking at our behaviors that are challenging. It is if you try to create an environment, if you try to make it safe, if you're not asking the people, the individual to work out a calculus problem. We just want to know some simple response. Do you prefer blue or green? And that's simplifying the thing. And I'm just thinking of the man who's taking the fifth now. So it's a challenge. I think I can just leave it there. It's a challenge. What we need to do though is to understand some of the reasons why people don't want it. It can be shyness, fear that the comment that they make people might think is stupid. They have said it before, nobody has come out of it. They feel that they're going to be set up on. All of those factors are there. So we need to hear and understand from that perspective. But at the same time, we need to be able to try to elicit the comments. And one way maybe to be a lot more patient, What we could do as well is to set it up so that we provide an example as to how the question could be answered, or we even set up somebody in the audience who might be more open to speaking, to lay the ground, open the doors by speaking. Browbeating and forcing them might not work. I might actually put more pressure on. So the patience, I think, is an important part. Can I leave it there now? Go ahead.
I don't know if maybe, I don't know, if maybe we could look at the person who is considered to be the offender per se. And notice that considered. So this is the other person's interpretation of what the other person is doing. This is this is the interpretation of the person's behavior, and hence they're going to be quiet and whatever. And they have all the different reasons why they feel justified in not saying anything. To the extent where they might even feel that they have been victimized by that person one time too many. I'm just wondering if maybe one of the suggestions you mentioned is to, I think it said, to be patient or to be kind or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And just maybe a measurement of kindness then could be, I might be wrong on taking this position. I might be wrong in what I'm saying. And so I'm open for some kind of dialogue or dialoguing. Maybe this forum is not for it. Maybe on a one-on-one we can talk, but just the idea of not behaving as if to say you're a know-it-all, or that your position is the right one per se. So I do think that if you a measurement of kindness could be an approach of such. Just saying.
Okay, got it. I get it. Yeah. I think you can even go further to indicate if there, as you say, if there has been a track record of problems before, you could actually put that in as well to say, well, okay, fine. So, we might have had this issue, or there might have been that. I understand that how you might, be reacting to those, and how this might cause you not to want to share. Yeah, so that kind of dialogue is good. I want to say something about this now, because as we have been talking about it, never occurred, it come to me before. In looking at the DISC framework, and we're looking at what we call it discerning communication, the S style, we're looking at it, and in workshops we're talking about the question of how to respond, how they might respond when they feel the trust has been broken, or put it that way. I don't want to get into the bank account idea, but the thing is that where we have the emotional bank account, and when you do a deposit, it's a when you do something nice, it's a deposit. When you do something not so nice, it's a withdrawal. And the persons who have a preference for S-style gives you the overdraft, and until one day they realize that you really and truly have been betraying them, in which case they shut down the whole account, everything, and the relationship is challenging. But also when you make like false accusations, etc., then there might be a point where they are saying, no, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. And I've been doing it in workshops, and so far 3 persons have indicated that they were fired for insubordination, for not responding, because they were accused of a thing, and the boss is saying, so you're not speaking? Yeah, that's no. I mean, they're not saying, I could never dignify this accusation with a response, and there's a shutdown. So that could also be there. Is that they're saying, me? No, I have no intention of speaking to you on this matter. Those are some of the things. I just wanted to put that in there as well, that it's not as easy sometimes to get the response that you want. And to me, I want to ask the question, I would love to get some feedback. What is more, let us say you're having a discussion, animated discussion, like with your spouse or with somebody. Which thing would be most painful for you, if you want it? Somebody who shouts, or maybe even, I don't want to go to the violence thing, but yeah, shouts and really aggressive, or somebody who just absolutely don't say a word? Which one of the things would make you be a little bit more annoyed, upset? Where you're trying to say, you're not saying anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're trying to get, people can be, when you're in an argument, you want something to hold on to so that the fire catch and the person just go on. Go on, brother. Me and I with you. Yes, sure. Yeah. That is a no, nobody that silent treatment is not the most powerful argument that you can have. Yeah. Mercy. I don't know. I am in that space where the silent treatment thing is. I would love to get some. Anybody else? All right, let us do a little exercise. You don't want to talk, but you can write in the chat. You can just put S if you think silent treatment is the toughest way to win an argument, or a quarrel, if you want. Let me just call it that here. Yeah. Come on, please participate, man. You don't have to be shy. You can just put in the chat. Just put S, and I will know that you buy the silent treatment thing. So I'm assuming that Sherry have a S. Anybody else? I might be here. Sophia says S. Anybody else? Okay, yes.
Yeah, I say something while person.
Yes, please.
The Bible says that a soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stirs up anger.
Yeah.
So maybe silent treatment might be the most viable option.
Absolutely. But you remember Christ? Christ trial, you don't say anything. No, I'm not going to say to him. Not a thing to say to him. All right. Okay, all right, let's move on. But it's an issue, right? So that's why I'm telling you that sometimes, because of that, sometimes when somebody's in this mode, it might come across as being, a little annoying because you really want to hear from them. All right, I think the point is made. All right, let's go. Woo! Sir. Know it all, arrogance. Hopefully nobody here has any of these people in their lives. Yes? Know everything. Yeah. Take over every discussion. So let us see how we can deal with these. Let me just put them out here. All right, sorry. Oops. So one way is to make sure that you know the facts, right? I'm assuming that you're going to respond and not just ignore the person, right? So be informed. Make sure that you have the facts. Don't contend if you are in doubt or, just keep quiet. If this is a conversation that you want to be engaged in and the facts are right, then you can agree. So we only disagree if you're absolutely sure. And I should add that if it is something of importance. I mean, if it's another little idle thing, whatever the argument, idle arguments not help at all. All right. So you disagree only if it is important and the person don't have the right to have the information correctly. But you can ask questions, ask meaningful questions that if the person is bluffing, if the person really not have thought about everything, probe, ask questions that could actually bring important things to the fore. And just listen, ask the question, listen to the response, and then you can decide whether the response is valid or not, and whether the information that is coming out is useful to the audience, right? Number 5 to me is really why I want to talk about this one, is that don't bother with trying to, cut them down or, poke something at them to, burst the bubble, burst the balloon, don't bother with that. They're on an ego trip, it's all right. Is it your ego that will cause you to try to belittle them in some kind of way? I don't know. What is the inspiration for trying to tear them down or to find some flaw in them so that to embarrass them? What's the value? Is there some, what do you get from that? That's the question that I'm asking. So those are the suggestions, but my thing would be in many instances, again, sometimes you can just walk away from things that are really not important. If it is an important thing, and that is the important discussion that we're having, and the person seeks to dominate the conversation because they know everything and they put on everything everybody else say, no, that doesn't make any sense. If that is the case, then of course you have to engage, but only engage on the basis of facts. Yes. Go ahead, Fiona.
I find, oh, good evening, everyone. I find point number 5 very interesting. I have this team member. Whenever my boss is telling him, pointing out what he did wrong or trying to explain something to do, he usually interrupts my boss to say he knows, and he's been doing it for years, and my manager never corrects him. And I always wonder why he just allows him to keep doing it. So point number 5 is interesting.
Explain to me, when he said when his boss is talking to him, he says he knows?
Yes.
So he knows that
he tries to finish the sentence to say that he knows this is what was supposed to happen or this is the way it's supposed to go.
Oh, okay. But he didn't do it in the first place.
No. And I always wonder why my manager doesn't correct him.
Okay. But the manager is doing this. The manager is saying, all right. When your evaluation come up, I deal with it. But I don't have to belittle you right here. No, I don't have to do that. You and I, know that you didn't do what you're supposed to do, but you're puffing up as if you know what it is that you're supposed to do. The manager, bigger than that. You don't have to get into that. Actually, it's more like it's a childlike situation where we have to try to bring down people who are maybe overconfident, put it that way. Andre?
Yes.
Anything on this?
I think what we could possibly add, is don't go in with a tit for tat. If you find that the person is you say something good and you think that just the way you asked the question wasn't even to bring any embarrassment. So you say something like, have you considered this? Because you understand the temperament of this person. So you say, have you considered this? Can I invite you to look into this, to look at this position or to consider this position? And so you tiptoe and walk on eggshells and do everything. And when you finish, the person say, you're an ignoramus. So what kind of stupid question that you ask? Our suggestion is that. And when they finish with you, man, I mean, believe you me, in your mind, it said, me and my big mouth. Why did I even go there, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. Even if that is the kind of response that you get, and it's worse if it is embarrassing, meaning you have other folks who are hearing and everything like that. Resist the idea, or resist the notion, I should say, or even the emotion of going back and forth. Don't become the very thing that you don't like in the person. Don't become the very thing you don't like in the person. That's my suggestion.
100 amen to that. Yeah. Don't become the thing that you don't like in the person. Absolutely, I agree. So James says, I shut down those people when they are disruptive. They just want to stroke their ego. Yeah, true, that's what it is. It is arrogant egotism. Aye, he says that he has to learn my approach. Boy, trust me. I can't tell you that I have mastered all of these things. You know, but these are approaches that can work. It's kind of hard sometimes with the know-it-all, because there's always you know, you kind of squeeze the air out of the room, you know. They shut down dialogue. Some people might want to share. We can't finish a sentence before they, you know, jump in. And so, especially if you are somebody who really don't like to share openly, those persons will never open them out in a scenario where there's a know-it-all who wants to burnish their ego, as James says. That's the problem. And it might be that in that environment, in that situation, you can't deal with it. But you might just have to call John, you know, aside and say, hey, John, you know, listen to me, you know, here are some realities. You know. And let's talk about your perspective as to the sharing and the, you know, the mannerism, the body language, and the whole context of the potential impact on where you're trying to go, especially if you're trying to lead a team and it's impacting team dynamics. Yeah, that dialogue needs to have, you know, to take place. So it's not everything you can deal with in the moment. You might have to take it, you know, off ear, as we say in Jamaica, and talk to the person one-on-one. Go ahead, Fiona.
Right. Sometimes he even tries to finish my HOD sentences, and I'm like, he's been doing it for years, and I'm like, I don't see an improvement in his behavior. And sometimes I think that somebody needs to talk to him. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to raise my hand for you. Quietly go and have a word with him. Yeah. Tell him, you know, I was doing a nav live session and this thing came up, and the facilitator actually suggests that I, you know, have a little word with you.
Tell him that he's a know-it-all.
Yeah, that's no, you have to say it in that way. I'm just wondering, sometimes I hear you talking to the boss, and I'm just wondering what the boss thinks, because he's trying to correct you. But then before he even finishes, you just seem to, you know, have it all sorted out. And I'm just wondering if he's thinking, why you didn't do it then if you knew it? I don't know. I don't want to interfere, but it just occurred to me, as I say, I was doing this work, nav live workshop, and this thing came up. So that's the way you could deal with it. Gossiping. Of course, with us sharing, we're not gossiping, eh? Right. All right. I don't have to spell out what the gossiping thing is. But seriously, what we do with in this life now, where boy, you understand what happened to Mary or John or whatever it is. Are you part of the queue, part of the circle? Yeah. And nowadays, maybe not even live chat, is just WhatsApp group, we send out information. This was a challenge that I had to shut down early in my, you know, career as a, you know, like a manager, whatever it is. People would come and want to talk about somebody. And that is something I had to really steal myself, just make sure that I say to them, you know, this one is especially the one I used to use. So you spoke to him about it? You spoke to her about it? Or can I say that you told me this? This one really knock it out, you know. No, man, you can't do that. Okay, well, leave it alone then. I'm not into that. Yeah. So, let's go talk to them. But this was my favorite. So I can say that it was this then. Yeah. After a while, I get dropped out of the circle because, okay, man, this could actually go and tell people that I am telling them the thing. Well, don't bother tell me. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. If I can quote you, or if we can go talk to the person about it, then I don't need to know. I can't do anything about it. Right? And generally, again, the whole point is this: if you have anything nice to say, just keep yourself quiet. But don't pass on the thing, and don't be in the group where they're coming around. They just have to know that bypass you with this. I know it's a nice, a hot story, but it's all right. You want to be ignorant. Does that work for anybody? Three, go ahead and see somebody in the chat. How do managers keep their ears to the? I know somebody else when coming with that. James, believe you me, it's part of the script. I could have write it. How do managers keep their ears to the ground if they don't hear things under the quiet? Yeah.
I think Siri is trying to talk.
I know, I'm going to make her talk. Go ahead, Siri.
Very low.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't hearing anything. Shout, not hearing you. The mic open, but I'm not hearing you. Put it in the chat. Yeah, so this is a tricky one. Whilst every organizer said,
I have found this that the gossip, there's a unique way in presenting the gossip. Generally speaking, you present the gossip from the standpoint where you feel like you are the victim or behave like you are the victim, which then perks up the ears, so to speak, or gains the attention of the person that is quote unquote listening to you. So they almost feel like they are trying to help by listening because of the way it is phrased or coined, when in truth and in fact, it really falls under the ambit of a gossip. But I have found that a lot of times when people come to so-called to share an opinion about something or to gossip, it speaks volume of how they have been the victim or someone else is the victim, and that's why you need to pay keen attention to what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think we need to watch out for that.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's I understand it. I understand what you're saying. Is that so? It's really not. I'm not just telling on somebody. I'm not just passing on some juicy thing. It has implications either for me or for somebody else, etc. So yeah. So that kind of fall into my thing there, So maybe we should do something about it then. This is impacting somebody. Shouldn't there be some action if we're just talking about it? It's not helping. So can I share that? You have said this to me and that is a matter, or can I, can we go and talk to the person together? Or let's take some action then, man. Let's take some action. That's where my head is. James has a bigger problem, and I understand it. Man, my work experience, I'm thinking of scenarios where, boy, there was one of them that was really, really, really shocking to me, where I was invited into a meeting and someone was, being not accused, well, told that their stealing had been uncovered. And and the accused says, "May God strike me dead here and him say, if you say one more word, I go prison." And there was not another word. Not another word. So may God strike me dead. Just another way they go to prison. So that goes to James thing is, how you know that? Where that information come? And believe you me, the accused is somebody that, believe you me, I was in a shock. I'm saying to myself, what kind of accusation that? No, sir, not this brother. No way. Well, James, I don't know if you call, I don't know that is gospel. That's a challenge that you have to look at now. It's not as if somebody just, talk to the boss and say, well, boy, that's a different thing. That's I don't know, we call it informal, but yeah, but it's not, but wouldn't, if you are working in a place and you want the business to succeed, you want somebody to be undermining it. So you have to deal with it. But yeah, so I think there's a distinction. I don't know how it's a very thin line clearly, which is where I think my stance was coming, that if it's information that needs action, then it's useful to me. If it's just, just to know that this person have this problem, or this one going around with that or the other, I'm not interested in that. What's the value of that? So are you ready now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, good. All right, so in relation to, good evening again. In relation to if you can't say anything nice, say nothing. And what I'm about to say is also applicable to Christian persons. No, you have some persons who tell us, look here, no, I'm this type of person. I'm blunt, I'm straightforward. I say whatever comes to my mouth. You know what I mean? And they don't even care at all. They don't consider people's feelings or anything at all. So if they say them don't care, and it's so bad that Christians are like that as well. So not all of us are mature enough or sensitive enough to say, hey, hey, just don't.
What, Sherry, believe you me, the amount of times we talk about that, how you approach people, what you say to people, is so important, because that will turn off. You can't just talk to people any kind of way and expect to get any insensible response from them. And so this is something that is drilled through all the time, Yes, and I agree with you that in the church you have some people that might think, okay, fine, I have the word, and I can I'm quoting the Bible and all of that kind of things. But is that helpful? I'm not so sure that is the case. And I know that we talk about it all the time, that there needs to be some kind of a seasoning with salt. The words need to be seasoned. You have to talk, you have to correct people in love. All of those kind of statements are important. And that statement there about if you can say something, I think that's part of my family thing, is that really and truly, just if you really don't have anything nice to say about somebody, just leave it alone. Nobody say anything. Just leave it.
Mr. Smith, there's this girl at my workplace. I keep wondering, she's a Christian. I remember sometimes there are times we'll have dialogue and she said, Sherry, is it me? Me's a person. I mean, I said, no, remember say, what about the representing Christ and stuff? I say, what kind of example where you feel like anything come in your mouth, you just say? That's so wrong.
No.
I don't understand.
Yep. It happens in the church. It happens outside. What it is that we do these things, this is one of the reasons we have life as well, is that maybe you catch somebody in a different context and they understand better. But the whole point is this, that tearing down people is not helpful. All right. So let me just be clear as well, though, because somebody might go away and say you can't correct people or you can't say anything, but it's how you do it. So we're not saying that if somebody, has an issue that you can't correct them, that's not, gossiping, or that's not to say, that you can't say something in a way that would correct somebody. You can, but it's how you go about it. All right.
Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
I must say something honestly, and I think it's probably one of the first time since I'm on the NOF session for 2 years that I'm so moved and pushed to make a difference. You see, when we started this one with the difficult persons and a new approach, believe you me, and in the same breath, I've been reading some devotional stuff that consecutively talks about how to be happy, and it's about how you treat people, helping person, being considerate, etc. And what I've been trying to do, adding this nav series to it, or this particular topic rather, is helping. And you know what I do a lot of times is, you see, oh, even since I've learned this, I've come around some persons with some personalities. I mean, if me and them have some little conflict, me just go back and see my work that I was good, and I start sharing the person. You know what happened? I have gone to this session, and this one is so outstanding. How to be different, difficult person and stuff, and you know the other stuff. I'm just using it to apply to me, to help out. Even yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody, the same thing, and the person remember the topic. The person, I'm not saying I'm difficult, but we're trying to sort out something. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, as human beings, and as you just said a while ago about, it's not you're saying not to tell persons when they're wrong, but it's really being sensitive. What does the word say? How do you deal with persons? You know what I mean? And I'm so moved by this particular topic, especially last week. When some, you know what I mean? And I'm very grateful. So
Okay. Thanks for the encouragement. All right. I
You're
know
welcome.
you have been there with us for a long time. So thanks. All right, let's try and move this thing forward so we can get it done. So then, man. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let me. Okay. The complainer, man. Oh my gosh. Everything, right? You know, I don't know what it is. The desk not in the right place. The AC too cool. I don't understand what it is. But you know those, right? You know, people like that complain about everything, all the time, everything. So yeah. So how do you deal with that? The persistent complainer. One approach is really to try to be helpful. The whole of this series, you see this whole thing about, you know, difficult people, really and truly, it's not people, it's really about situations. And I think if we are to deal with it, we have to try and put ourselves in their shoes, first of all, right? We have to understand where they're coming from. That would help a lot. Why is this person complaining? And so this other question, you know, this seems to be have been bothering you. What are you planning to do about it? Because usually complainers have no intention of doing anything about it, because if there's something about it is one less thing they have to complain about. Okay, so that is unkind. I know, I deliberately went to the unkind, but seriously, in many instances, there's no self-efficacy, Brother Andre will talk about, in terms of saying, I have an issue, I'm going to try and solve the issue. Yeah, resilience is the other term that we're using, that, you know, that what are we doing? And so what you want to do then is to gently lead the person along a path to resolving their challenges. So this seems to have been bothering you. What are you planning to do about it? Or maybe you say, can I help? How can I help? If you want to get into it. But for me, I would prefer to say, what are you planning to do about it? Because you want to get them to a point where they are able to help themselves. Yeah, so they don't come back and complain with another issue, and another issue, and another issue. Right. Also, I like the blue skies, you know, so you can actually look at some of the positive things. Yeah. So so the AC too cold, you know, but you know, think about the situation if it wasn't working, you know, and we don't have no windows in here, you know. So at least, you know, we're being kept cool, and you can, you know, do something about it. But the biggest thing is, don't bother with it. Yes, it's true, you know. Yes, it's really, oh my gosh, don't bother get into that hole down there with them, because they will come to you all the time. And you're just glad to find somebody who can wallow with them. You know, so you have friends or people who call you, and it looks as if their internet only carry negative news. You know, just everything that they talk to you about is like, don't go there. Don't go there with them. Try to change the argument. Yeah. Yeah. So, any comments on this? Quick, this time we need to step up the pace. Maybe one or two more. About the complainer. The bottom line here, I would say, is to try to move the person towards taking actions to solve problems instead of just complaining about it. And also, you might try to show blue skies, rose-tinted glasses, show them some other side of life, because believe me, again, if you go into some of the neuroscience, the negative, living in negativism is bad for your health, it's bad for everything. So you really want to have people move out of this space as much as possible. Quick comments on this. Brother Andre, come in, please.
I mean, what can I say?
Not hearing, sorry.
I think most important is the refuse the temptation to wallow in self-pity and despair with them. I think that is a big thing. I do believe that one way that each time somebody come and share something with you, that we have to be careful that we don't just, that we don't label them. We have to be careful. And so one of the things I want to do, so even although we know that they are incessant complainers, it is very important that we don't label them, because the minute we start to label them, then even our action and response to them is really not going to help them. And a matter of fact, we might find ourselves doing the same thing that they are doing, where we end up now talking about them too and with someone else. Just saying.
Good shot. Yeah. Boy, Brother Andre Ellis come to me. Yeah, that's true. All right. Yeah, but I think this is important as well. Like we try and see how we can actually say, okay, this seems to be a problem. What I would ask what they're trying to do about it, because I say I want the self-efficacy, I want them to the resilience, I want them to be able to try and sort out the problems themselves. I want them to start to think about when issues arise, how they can actually deal with it. So that's important. But part of it is, if you go back to the original thing that James question is that separate the behavior from the person. So here is somebody with an issue that is being presented to me. I am not looking at the 10 years of which they have been coming with complaints. I'm looking at this situation today with that I'm confronted with. And if I deal with it that way, then the things that Brother Andre talk about in terms of labeling and not being responsive, it doesn't arise. All right. I think I'm trying to squeeze in. Oh, just a minute. All right, let me just try and squeeze in. I think there's another one after this. The freeloader. It's the person that suppose a handicap always wants a little, some money, some whatever it is. I don't know. Again, this is where I'm going to get into trouble now, because if they come today, why am I not giving them the money? Is it because I'm looking at the track record of thing, in which case I might say no, what about separating the behavior from the person? But find out what the needs are, etc. Why is this so? And usually, again, if you're looking to help, try to see, if I give you this, maybe you come back again tomorrow. But why are you in this position? Maybe we need to sit down and look at your, how your money, your incomes, and how you're using it, so that you're not always out of money, or maybe we can help you to find some way that you can earn. Those are possibilities that we can look at. Yeah, and so we can take a comment there quickly, but don't just ignore. Don't become a boops where you never ever ask back for the money or anything like that. All right. Okay, go ahead. A hand raised. Martin, go ahead. Sorry.
Good evening.
Hi.
I joined you relatively late. It appears that we are about to count
Yes.
down.
Yes, right. About
in regards to the freeloader mentality,
yeah.
I'm just wondering if there will be a need to sort of assess the person's behavior, frequency, and to see exactly what the genuine reason behind this. approach.
Right. Right, that's what I was saying. I agree with you 100%. So rather than just push them off, the thing could be to ask some questions as to what it is that why they're in that state, and instead of necessarily giving the financial thing, you know, such that I have silver and gold have I known, but such that I have given unto you. So that may be the approach that we need to look at it to see how we can help the individual. All right, I need to run down. No offense from the image, please. All right, and then I have one more after this. I'm going to ask for 5 minutes. So we're going to finish like 8:05. All right. So yeah, you can have people that just don't take your instructions. Yeah. And one of the things to do is make sure that the instructions are clear. Make sure that there's buy-in, you know, that they are interested in your goals, and the goals are shared. And so that is where this is the understanding and the commitment to the goals. And you might have to take other actions, of course, you know, if it's serious, and so on. But let us say that this is in a volunteer situation. What you do, yeah, where you can't fire, you can't punish, you can't. What you do, yeah, you really do have to persuade, and that's a challenge that I have. I think that people would have is that how do you lead somebody who don't want to be led? Big question. Whoa, all right, we're not going to deal with this one. I just want to deal with one more, which is this one, which is that, so you're talking to people, to someone, or, you know, and you just don't seem to be understanding it. And you have, you know, gone through it another time, a third time, you know, and it's just not seeking in, you know, seeping in. What you do, sometimes we get fed up, we get upset, and we start to actually raise our voices, start to shout. You don't understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not sure that that is going to help. As a matter of fact, if the person gets animated and so on, then, you know, they're going to have the more cortisol going up, and they're not going to think as clearly as even before. So you get to get it worse. The more important thing is to get the person to be in a calm state. You have to be more patient, and then find some other ways maybe of getting the information. You might have to come back another time. But the key here to me is don't make the person feel like, you know, feel stupid. Don't make the person feel stupid. So there's a habit that we have, is a way that we speak where we're saying, so you understand, and you have to try and get it out of ourselves. I'm working on it. And the better way would be to say, have I explained it clearly? Because the person is not a fool, hopefully. So instead of, you know, saying, so you understand? You don't understand what I'm saying. The better approach is, have I explained this clearly? Go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Smith. I appreciate your presentation so far. I came in at some point while you were ahead as well, but I'm smiling as I heard this part of it, because I will say to persons, make sense? And then they say, yes. So they say, please explain again. Or I said, when they take a moment longer than I expect, I said, okay, I'll do it again. And I go over it and I said, okay now, or make sense kind of thing. But I usually say, make sense. And most times persons respond, yes. But if they don't understand, they say, you could say it one more time, or I will interject to say, let me say it one more time and I'll go ahead. But I'm working on patience as well.
Yeah, in this world where you're in a hurry, and, you know, you have to get through a lot of stuff. Sometimes it can be really off-putting, you know, that, you know, you have to go back over it, and, you know, we are starting from a place where we understand it all, And so we expect the person to be there. But, you know, so when we explaining to them, we might be starting at a point far beyond where they are. Yeah. Brother Andre, your time.
Trying to avoid letting them feel like a dummy. That is, you are spot on that one there. Sometimes you may not be the best person to have the conversation with them or to convey a particular thought to them. Maybe somebody else must do it. Seriously, maybe you're not using you're not speaking their language, or whatever, you know. So, or the terms that you're using, and each time you speak, you know, it does sound like you're going over them head, literally, whenever you talk. And so, you know, so they cannot tune out as soon as you start to open your mouth, and sometimes don't even give themselves a chance to understand what you're saying. So maybe you're not, sometimes you have to look into those things, and rather than seeing them as the dummy, so to speak, maybe it is you who is not very effective in communicating. Just saying.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Just need to wrap up. I know we're late. One of the things that I want to do is to share this with you. This series, as we said, is brought to you with the compliments of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. Important, we want to let you know, oh boy, I don't see it on this slide, where the information is, because this is recorded. It's actually being live streamed as we speak. It's Simply Christians. If you go on YouTube, Simply Christians JA. Simply Christians JA. It's there. And also you can go to our website at standrewchurchofchrist.org and be able to get a copy. Some of you came in later. Hopefully, you'll find the information useful. We worship at 77 Radius Road at 9 a.m. and we have a Bible class immediately after service, and then we have our midweek Bible class at 6:30. We also have those sessions, all our sessions are online using the same link, same Zoom link, and the password is 77123. So thank you. And our next session, remember we meet Nav Life on the first and the third Saturdays of each month. We will announce the next topic. This is an area that, believe me, over time, when we look at this issue of dealing with difficult behaviors, it evokes a lot of interest because we have that. That's part of our daily challenge in our interpersonal relations. So I don't know if there's another area that we want to look at. We have to sit down with Brother Andre and decide what it is that we want to look at on the next session. Thanks again for your participation, and look forward to worshiping with you and sharing with you again. All right. Thanks, James. Appreciate it. All right. We're going to close down. No. I don't have a ministerial post as yet. Maybe, you know.
That's Pastor.
No, I'm not. I'm just Trevor Smith, Brother Smith, if you want.
Brother Smith. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, cool. But I might run for office though, because you might believe. I might run for office because you believe I could be a minister.
I meant a minister of religion, but I think you're speaking of minister.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I get
Every blessing to you and thanks.
All right. Okay. Cool. Appreciate it. All right. I think we can close on the show.